Mr. Bighorn, I want to go back to a comment that you just made. You indicated to the Vice Chairman here that the implementing legislation that says that the 12 agencies shall come together and establish this MOA didn't require in its language any consultation, and so you didn't feel like you need to do it. One of the things that I am all over every agency that comes to my office when they're talking to me about their relationship with our tribes in Alaska. I say, you know, this consultation should not be something that you are directed to do. Consultation should be something that is inherent, that as an agency, you go to the tribes, you have that consultation. We all know that some agencies are better than others, but I'm a little bit surprised to think that when you are talking about this approach, this consolidated approach to efficiency, that when the 12 agencies come together to talk about how we're going to make this work with the tribes, that nobody thought that maybe consultation at that point would be important, even if it was not directed and outlined in the law. So was it an oversight, do you think, or in hindsight? Because I do understand now that there are these efforts to bring in that level of consultation. But was it because it simply wasn't outlined that nobody felt that you needed to do it?
Senator, thank you for the question. When we were looking at developing the MOA, we approached it from the perspective of Congress has asked us to come up with an MOA to implement the program from the federal perspective, and there was no discussion at that point as to tribal consultation, because again, it wasn't something that was required within the law. And also the 12 agencies that were around the table felt that this was a charge for us to come up with the implementation of the program, how we were going to implement the program.
How the agencies are going to implement it. Well, actually, you're not implementing it, because as Mr. Anderson has said, you all are the ones that are implementing it. You are taking the obligation and the responsibility that these agencies have for these programs and asking the tribes to do that work for you, and they are happy to do it. I mean, we've clearly heard that. They are eager to do it. Because they believe strongly that they can get greater efficiency, greater flexibility, truly make this work better for all those that they serve. So it just seems to me that there was a real failure here on the consultation part. If you're basically saying, here, you take over this obligation, the fact that there was not a level of consultation. Let me ask, though, because I'm a little bit confused on the MOA being reopened. You've heard here requests for the BIA to reopen the MOA. In a letter that we received October 15 from the Assistant Secretary Sweeney, she says, during this meeting, September 20th, during this meeting, the tribes asked the federal agencies in attendance to consider reopening the MOA for modifications. The federal agencies in attendance committed to considering the tribes' requests. So that was September. This is a letter that we received in October. We're now in November. The question to you was just asked by the chairman whether there is a consideration for reopening of the amendments, and you have asked for time to go back and seek further discussion with others. It seems to me that it's been out there by the agencies now for a couple months to noodle over whether or not you're looking to reopen this. You've indicated that there is a process for amendments to be submitted. But is that the same thing as reopening the MOA? Are they two different processes?
Senator, the process I outlined earlier is in the MOA, and it allows any of the 12 other agencies who are parties to the MOA to propose an amendment. Now, what you're talking about is revisiting the MOA
Right.
or opening. That's something separately.
Right.
And as I said earlier, I'll need to go back and visit with my leadership to determine if that's something that is going to happen. I do know that as you said, we've had the letters from the working group and letters from Congress asking us to consider some of the inconsistencies that have been developed, that have been provided from the tribe's perspective, and we're still reviewing those letters and certainly considering those. But I don't have any information today to indicate that we'd be reopening the MOA. I'll have to go get back again and visit with my leadership and get back to you on that.
Okay, well, I would just again repeat for the record here that at the meeting on September 11th, again, according to this letter from Assistant Secretary Sweeney, the issues were discussed related to the MOA, and then on September 20th, a couple weeks later, at the meeting of the Indian tribes and federal agencies, during that meeting, again, the ask was made to consider reopening the MOA for modifications, and we're now here in November. So it seems to me that there has been a lot of opportunity for the agencies to be discussing this. In the meantime, what you have happening, and I hope that you have heard this clearly, and I hope that the other agencies have heard this clearly. What is happening is the good work that needs to be done on the ground is being halted. Decisions are being made not to move forward with additional programs. What Mr. Anderson has just outlined with what is coming to many of the tribes right now through these grants that are being made available to us through Department of Justice, there's a real hesitancy to figure out, okay, how can we be most efficient in getting these funds out to those who need them? That's what we should be thinking about, but we're not, because we're saying we need to be careful here because we don't want to jeopardize this. We don't want to be in a situation where a program is going to be denied. So what you have happening because of these inconsistencies within this MOA, because of these denials that Ms. Zentak has outlined so very, very clearly, you have a process that was designed to be more efficient, becoming twice less efficient because of where we are right now. So my ask to you is to go back to those that you are working with on this and convey to them certainly this senator's urgency, and I would hope this committee's urgency, that you look at this very critically, very closely, and very quickly. Because in the meantime, the efforts that need to be made to allow for the good benefits of 477 to proceed are being hung up. And if there's any question about that, I would ask that they read the transcript of what Mr. Anderson has just outlined in his response to Chairman Hoeven, because he articulated very, very clearly what is happening as a consequence of this confusion that has been created, these impediments that have been created by this MOA. There's too many of us that have worked far too long on this to be kind of stalled out right now. And I hate that you have to be the bearer of my critical review here, but all we're trying to do is to fulfill the responsibilities that, again, the agencies have, and you have good people that are prepared to take it up and to do so in a manner that makes good sense with greater efficiency and better management of the federal dollars that are at stake. And it's our own federal agencies that are not allowing us to be as efficient as we need to be. So I would ask you to take that message back to your team.
Senator, yes, I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I thank you, Ralph, for coming all the way and for your very clear statement.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for your leadership.